Today we're going to work on acceleration and deceleration. And just to make sure that we're clear, acceleration means that something's getting faster as it moves. Deceleration means that something's slowing down as it moves. I would advise, you're going to write 4 programs today, but I would advise doing some remixing, renaming, because it's going to save you some time. Program number 1, I'm going to walk you through it here, but program number 1, we're going to make an object move from left to right, but we're going to accelerate it as it goes, make it gain speed. So I'm going to hop over here to code.org, and I'm just going and just go grab something out of the sprite library, right? I've got my create sprite and my set animation. I'm going to go over to the animation tab, and I'm going to use, I know that there is a polar bear. I'm going to use a polar bear. You use whatever you want, but I'm just going to use a polar bear. All right. Now, I've checked this out a little bit. I'm going to scale my polar bear at about, I'm going to scale it down some. So I'll go ahead and name my variable. I'm going to call it bear. I want to start this on the left-hand side of the screen. So that's going to be over 0 and down 200. I want it to be on the left and about halfway down. So that's going to be my coordinate, 0, 200. Then I'll do bear here, and we will set it to be the polar bear. And I'm going to scale bear at about 0.5. That's half the size of what it normally is in the sprite library. All right, now I'm ready to go to work on this. Well, actually, not quite yet. I'm going to go ahead and set a velocity x. Now, when we're going to accelerate something, the bear at the beginning, I either want it to be not moving or moving very slowly. So actually what I'm going to do is set it to be not moving. I'm going to set its velocity at 0. That way it's not moving at the very beginning. That's going to change very quickly. Now, here we go into the draw loop. I'm not going to do a ton in the draw loop. I'm going to put in a background color, which maybe I'll make blue, but you do whatever you want there. And here's where I'm going to accelerate it. If I were to stick in a draw sprites program or a draw sprites block right now and just run it, the bear doesn't move because I set the velocity at 0. All right. Well, now this is going to be our old friend, the counter pattern. And it's going to look like this. I'm going to go to, this is going to be a velocity x kind of thing, and then I'll go to math, and I'm going to add, and then I'll go back to sprites, and it's going to be velocity x again, because I'm moving it left to right. And here's how this works. I'm going to say bear velocity x equals bear velocity x, and then I got to add something to it. Now here's the thing. Don't add too much. Everybody thinks it's funny if they say, oh, I'm going to add like 10,000. Well, then the bear just disappears instantly, and that's not really fun. Just add a little bit and experiment with it. I'll do 0.2 to begin with, and I might want to change that. All right, so I'm going to run that, and you'll see that what happens is, if you watch my program, he starts slowly, but he does pick up speed as he moves across. Now, once he gets over to the right-hand side, I haven't done anything to make him come back. You don't have to do that today. I could come over here and play with the idea that, do I want him to accelerate more? Maybe I want to do a 0.4, a 0.4 there, and I reset that, and I run it, and he's going to pick up speed a little bit faster. So look, this one's done. I'm going to come up and rename this, and I'll just call this one left to right accelerate. All right, so I got L to R accelerate because it's going faster, and I'll save that. All right, so program number 1 is done. Program number 2, and I'm using a fake whiteboard here. Program number 2 is going to be another left to right motion, but we're going to decelerate. Decelerate is slowing down. All right, well, let's hop back over there to code.org, and I'm going to remix this, and I'll go ahead and rename this, and it's going to be, I'm still going left to right, but I'm going to decelerate. I'm going to abbreviate that, and I think I'll take out the remix on the name. So I'm going left to right, but I want to decelerate. Save that name. Oops, cancel that. All right, so really not much changes here, except when you decelerate, here at the beginning for the bear velocity x, I want that to be set with some speed, right? I don't want it to be 0 at the beginning. I want it to have some speed at the beginning. So I'll set that to, I'll just start it at 5. And now what I've got to do in the draw loop is with the velocity x, I don't want to add to the velocity. I actually want to take away from the velocity because I'm trying to slow it down. It's got speed, and I want to slow it down. All right, well, really, I could just try this. I could make my 0.4 negative, right? Because that's like subtracting. So I'm just going to take the current velocity minus 0.4 equals the new velocity. That's how you can look at that. That's how you can read that. It kind of does this little math problem first, and then that becomes the new velocity. Well, let's run that. Now, you can see this, that's happening a little bit too fast. The bear really never goes anywhere. So I'm going to change that 0.4. You may have to play with the numbers a little bit. I'm going to change that 0.4 to a 0.1. I'm going to take it down, and I'll run that. And that's a little better. The bear begins to move, but then he goes back the other way. And that's going to happen if you're subtracting the velocity. He's going to slow down and then eventually go back the other way. So you play with the speed a little bit. Maybe I'll make that a 0.2. All right, I'm taking it down even more, and now he's coming across, he's slowing down, and eventually he will reverse directions and come back the other way. I'm going to go ahead and reset it, and maybe I'm just dialing in my number here. All right, I got a 0.5, and he slows down, and then he is going to go back the other way because the velocity x actually begins to become negative after a while. So that's deceleration. He's moving, and he slows down, and then eventually goes the other way. All right, so that one's done. Program number 3. Oops, let me get over to here. And program number 3 is going to be a very similar thing, but we're going to go top to bottom. And to begin with, I'm going to do acceleration, which means get faster. Okay, let's go back over here. I'm going to remix this. I'm going to rename this. I'll just type a whole new name. It's going to be top to bottom. And the first one, I'm going to accelerate it. So it's top to bottom, and I'm going to accelerate. All right, so I got to change some things. To begin with, top to bottom means the beginning location is going to be different. I'm going to set the bear over 200 and down 0. So I'm going to change my coordinates on this third program. And the scale's fine, but now this is not going to be a velocity x anymore. So I'll pull that out, and I'll go get a velocity y. Now we're talking velocity y. It's going to be bear, and I'm going to start this one at 0. All right, because again, we're going to accelerate this. So I don't want him to move to begin with. I just want him to be sitting up at the top, and then I'm going to speed him up. All right, so I'll take this. This is not going to be a velocity x thing anymore. So I'm going to take this velocity x out, and I'm going to use a velocity y instead. Got to get in the right spot. And then I'll get my math block, because it's a counter pattern. That's what we're doing with these. It's going to be the new velocity is going to equal the old velocity plus or minus something. All right, so I'll bring over another velocity y. And this one is going to be bear, and this is going to be bear. And then on this one, I want it to gain speed. So that's just going to be adding, it's a positive number. I'll say 0.5. All right. When I run this, it ought to gain speed as it falls. And it does. And how quickly it gains speed is going to depend on the number that you plug in right there with this is your counter pattern. The current velocity plus something equals the new velocity. And that's, again, the way to think about that. All right, this one's done. So our last program that we're going to work on here is, the fourth one is going to be top to bottom still, but we want it to decelerate. As it falls, we want it to slow down, and eventually, actually, it's going to probably slow down enough to where it comes back up. All right, well, so let's take a look at that real quick. And, you may have this figured out. All right, so on this one, the bear is going to start at the top. I've got that all set. I've got my polar bear set. I've got my scale set. Now the velocity y this time, I want to give it some, excuse me, I want to give it some speed. I'm going to use like 10 this time. I'm going to give it a little bit of speed. So the velocity y is set at 10. And really, this is kind of like the one when we did left to right. As it goes down, what I want to do is kind of take away from that. So I'm just going to change my 0.5 over here to a negative. All right, so let's reset and run that, and he falls down and rises back up. Now again, I think I kind of want to play with that number a little bit. Right now I'm on my counter pattern where the current velocity minus 0.5 equals the new velocity. That's happening a little bit too quick. So I'm going to take that down to a 0.2. And we'll run that, and he drops down. Look at that. That's better. All right, I kind of like that action right there. So I'll run it one more time. He's going down, but that deceleration trick slows him down. And eventually, because we didn't program anything to fix that, eventually he kind of goes backwards. And there's a way you could make him stop once he slows down and comes, gets the velocity gets down to 0. You could make him stop, but you don't have to do that today. And so I need to I probably should have remixed first, but you get the idea. And I'll rename this. And this is top to bottom, and we're decelerating. So it's 4 programs. You go left to right, and on the first one you go left to right and accelerate, make it go faster. On the second program, you go left to right, make it decelerate, make it slow down. On the third program, top to bottom, accelerate, make it fall faster and faster and faster, and that's how you do it with a counter pattern. And then on the last one, it's top to bottom, decelerate as it falls, make it slow down. Eventually, it's going to reverse direction and go back up. All right, so it's your turn to jump in there and get going.